Welcome to PolicyCast. Today, we're joined by Akhil Chandna, partner and global people solutions leader, Thornton Bharat, to decode one of the most significant regulatory overhauls in India's employment landscape, the implementation of the four labor codes. With 29 legacy laws now consolidated into four comprehensive codes, we are looking at a once in a lifetime reset across wages, social security, industrial relations, and workplace safety. From the 50% wage definition rule to expanded social security coverage and digitized compliance, these reforms will reshape payroll structures, HR processes, and cost models for employers, while also redefining benefits and protections for employees. So let's unpack what this means in practice for businesses and for the workforce. Over to you, Akhil.
India's four codes, that is Code on Wages, Code on Social Security, Code on Industrial Relations, and OSH and Working Conditions Code are now in force, consolidating 29 laws. They standardize the definition of wages, that is 50% rule, widen Social Security, formalize working hours, leave, and revamp industrial relations. A once in decades reset for payroll, HR, and shop floor operations.
Thank you, Akhil. So let's dive right into the first question. What's the cost impact on employers?
Simran, I will try to make you understand the overall cost impact on employers, break this down into four parts. The first is due to the
Sure.
change in definition of wages, that is the 50% rule. It lifts the base for PF, gratuity, bonus, and overtime, all retirals. Wages now is a more inclusive definition as it includes basic, DA, retaining allowance. With certain specified exclusions, there are 11 specified exclusions which cannot exceed 50% of the total remuneration. If they do exceed 50%, then the excess gets added back as deemed wages, which raises the statutory base for PF, gratuity, overtime, etc. It's expected higher employer cost and sometimes lower take home but higher savings for employees. That's first. Second, leave and working time standardization has payroll knock-ons. Under OSH Code Section 32, workers accrue 1 day earned leave per 20 days working, can carry forward up to 30 days and must be allowed to encash anything beyond 30 at the year end. Employer refuse leave carries forward without any cap, a direct P&L provision item if not planned. The third, Social Security expansions widens coverage and contribution. As you know, fixed term employees become eligible for gratuity if they work for 1 year. ESI coverage expands. Gig platform workers are recognized, schemes to follow. These add new participant pools and steady state contribution cost over time. Last but not the least is system and governance spend. Employers need HRMS payroll rewiring, internal controls, diagnostics to model impact and survive audits, and immediate OPEX and CAPEX head. So overall, budget for wage-based uplift, leave encashment accruals, wider ESI PF eligibility, and tech and process upgrades. This is not a policy tweak, it's a payroll architect change.
Thanks, Akhil. It takes me to the next question. Where is this heading, in your opinion?
I think this is an excellent question. Let's understand the rationale for which the government has introduced these four codes. And this will give us a clarity where this is heading. The first and the foremost biggest change which is coming is uniformity and digitization. Common definitions, single registration return, and inspector cum facilitator models point to predictable compliance and data-driven enforcement. Second is formalization and formal wage. Universal minimum wages and a national floor wage, whenever notified, will pull up bottom end pay and narrow interstate caps. States cannot go below the floor. Just emphasis on this point. Currently, before 21st of November 2025, under the existing labor law, there is no concept of national floor wage or universal minimum wages. So same skill set of a person working in Delhi or working in Bihar paid differently. But with this formalization and floor wage concept, everyone will be paid universally the same amount and states cannot go below that. This is a big change. Flex with guardrails, standing orders threshold at 300 workers, clearer strike and lookout protocols, and fixed term employed formalization signal more operational flexibility with higher transparency and accountability. Last but not the least is transition reality. Until final central rules and state rules are fully notified, saving provisions keep old rules alive to the extent not inconsistent, so expect a hybrid regime for a while. I think to conclude, the North Star is simpler rules, stronger safety nets implemented via digital compliance, and uniform definitions, but we are in a managed transition as rules catch up.
Thanks, Akhil, for that context. Will this really help employees?
I think yes, if you ask me in one statement, it's very positive. Industry at large has given a very positive reaction to this. Let me tell you how this will really help employees. The employees will have bigger social security and predictability. The 50% wage rules boost PF and gratuity basis. Employees paid a bit of monthly cash in hand for higher long-term savings and benefits. There are fewer leave lapse, more rights clarity. Encashment beyond 30, earn leave and unlimited carry forward of employer, refuse leave and the use it or lose it anxiety. Wages on separation within 2 working days and financial certainty. Coverage enlarges. FT gratuity after completion of 1 year of service. Broader ESIC. Gig platform worker recognition. Expand the safety net for non-traditional workers. So in a nutshell, I think it's really helping. Implementation and scheme design, especially for gig and platform workers, will determine the depth of impact. Expect phased benefits.
Thanks, Akhil. So, how do these codes compare with other statutory benefits?
I think let me try to explain labor code versus old regime. As we've discussed about few benefits which are coming, especially by way of national floor wage and all. Previously, fragmented laws caused allowance, heavy salary gaming, and inconsistent benefits. The codes close those gaps via single wage definition and uniform entitlements. Sectorial state laws. The code introduces national floor norms, minimum wages, overtime at 2x, leave, safety, while states still tune specifics. Net effect is higher baselines plus fewer ambiguities. Compared to global practice, movement is toward unified definitions, digital inspections, and universalizing social security, more in line with modern economies. And just to give you a perspective, we are in the world, we are the 15th country who's come out with a formal labor law regime for gig and platform workers, which is the biggest change.
Thanks, Akhil, for the insight. Even I didn't know that. Now, my next question to you is going to be a little more in the form of a rapid fire. Essentially, could you please tell our listeners what are the key provisions and impactful changes that you can particularly call out and we can be, watchful for?
So, Simran, we have discussed most of the things in the earlier questions while I was addressing those. But as a rapid fire, few key takeaways and which have a biggest impact. One is the wages, 50% rule. There's a standard definition of wages for all the retirals, which will increase PF gratuity overtime base. Obviously, it will inflate, and the employer needs to restructure their salaries to align with the change in the definition of wages. That's the first one. Second is we talked about earned leave under OSH code section 32. As you know, carry forward is capped to 30 days. Mandatory encashment beyond 30 days. Unlimited carry forward of employer, is not allowed now, and it's a big impact on the P&L of employer because whatever is beyond 30 days has to be encashed year on year. It's not like earlier when the encashment happened only at the time of termination or resignation. The third is timely final wages. The employer has to pay the wages within 2 working days on termination, resignation, or dismissal, whatever is the case, which is again a big impact and tweaking in the payroll timelines. Higher code is a standing orders threshold is 300. Streamlined disputes, strike rules, more flexibility, clear processes. So they are moving away from the ambiguity when it comes to the union, standing orders model, strikes and all. Fifth one is the social security. Talked about fixed term employees getting gratuity after completion of 1 year of service, which was not the case earlier. ESI, ESIC expansion will happen because right now the coverage on ESIC is basis the gross salary, but going forward it will be depending upon the wages where the coverage will increase. Gig and platform workers but formalized under the social security architect. So everything is going in favor of the employee, while the government has ensured the employer's compliance burden should also reduce and the clarity and ambiguity will go away. Last but not the least is compliance model. I think single registration, return, income come facilitator, digitized oversight. So these are the key provisions and impact changes I want to bring to the notice of the audience at large.
Thanks, Akhil. That was really, really insightful. Promising times for employees ahead. What's your quick employee impact message?
I think my message to the employees is your take home may dip a little because of the changes in the definition of wages, but your PF and gratuity grow faster, which will give you more liquidity and net cash in hand when you retire. No earned leave lapses beyond 30. You will encash excess each year, which is again a big move. FTs get gratuity after completion of 1 year of service. ESI social security coverage is widening more to get benefits. Long-term impact would be positive with more retirement corpus and better gratuity perform. Simran, I think thanks for asking all these questions. It was a pleasure having a conversation with you. If you ask me, the closing line, the courts raise the floor and clear the fog. Costs move up in the short run, but the system gains clarity, coverage, and credibility. Winners will be the firms that model early, re-pepper fast, and digitize compliance. Thank you.
That was extremely insightful, Akhil. Thank you for breaking down the real world impact of the labor codes so clearly. Today's discussion highlighted that this reform is far more than a compliance update. It is the structural shift in how wages are defined, benefits are calculated, and employment governance is managed. While employers may see short-term cost adjustments, the long-term outcome points towards greater transparency, broader coverage, and a more formalized labor ecosystem, like Akhil mentioned. As he rightly noted, organizations that model early, restructure thoughtfully, and digitize compliance will be best positioned in this new regime. And with that, we wrap up this episode of PolicyCast. We'll be back soon with more conversations, decoding the policies shaping businesses in India. Until next time, thank you for tuning in.